everybody, this is Chad Roberts here at Virtual Gen Con with Connor Alexander, and we're here with RPG Geek. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced that. And we're here with my friend Connor Alexander, another person whom I've tried to get on the show for 3 years, I think now, since I heard about this project. Connor, is that it?
About right, 2.5, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell.
Yeah. And it's always, no, we're not ready. We're not ready. And finally, bam, Connor Alexander here talking about Coyote and Crow. Connor, I would just love for you to just tell everybody. I will share. You sent me some art from your project, and I just want to show. I just want to share this with everybody, and then we'll talk about what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. So tell us about Coyote and Crow, Connor. What it is, and what we should be expecting.
So Coyote and Crow is a traditional tabletop RPG set in a rather unique universe. It is set in an alternate history Earth where colonization did not happen in North America. Basically, sort of an alternate timeline event that happens at around the year 700 that shifts everything in the world. And Columbus never sailed, and the Americas are never colonized. The game takes place actually in the future, though, after both North and South America have become pretty advanced civilizations, and the event, the climate event that changed history, has sort of fully begun to recede, and the world is sort of opening up again. And so the players in the game are characters in these advanced societies who are now exploring out beyond the Americas for the first time. At least that's one of the setting possibilities. It's the world building is large enough that you could have an inner city, urban style setting if you'd like. It doesn't have to be set up with exploration in mind. But yeah, the idea is to present native cultures in a way that doesn't often get seen in modern media. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of years back that sort of sparked this. I was interviewing a member of a consulting group called the Indian Players. And one of the things they said that really kind of stuck with me was even when we get accurate indigenous portrayals, they're often viewed through colonial lenses. We're often viewed as cowboys and Indians, or the tribes that were facing off against the colonial settlers. It's very rarely natives in their own right doing what they do in their own within their own cultural parameters.
Right.
So the early development of this was tough because for a long time it was tough to find a way to both remove the colonial aspects from this world, and then at the same time find a way that we don't want to encroach, I guess is a good word, encroach on real world tribal politics, of which there are a lot. If you're not native, it's easy to think of Native Americans as this sort of monolithic blob of culture, and that could not be farther from the truth. I mean, we've all got our own traditions, our own history, our own backgrounds, and there's no way you can condense all of that variety, all of that culture into a single book. I mean, and we're even shooting for like a nice big hardbound 300-page, core book. So, so it was important for me to create a world where, rather than delineate what is for this world, it was more about creating a sandbox environment. And one of the things that I'm proudest of with the development is that non-natives can come into this game, have a great time in a unique sci-fi universe that has a lot of really cool mythology built into it. And then at the same time, native folks can come in and go, you know what? I recognize, not only do I recognize myself in this world and see how I might be able to fit in this world, but I want to be able to tell the story of my tribe, my nation, and how they fit into this, and how they survived this climate change, and how they evolved into this advanced society. So I want to leave those doors open. That's really important for me. And the other half of this, of course, is that I'm super excited to be working with some amazing native creative folks, some indigenous artists, indigenous writers, graphic artists, editors, And pulling that team together has been, at least as big a challenge as the development of the game itself. And there were some non-native folks on there too, but it was important that we make sure that native voices were as broadly heard as possible in their development.
And that's totally it totally shows. I mean, it's just this we've got like the cover. Is this the cover here that we're looking at right now, right?
So this is actually, this was considered to be my cover. However, it's not going to be. I suppose I've got some other surprises coming down the pipe. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So this is quite possibly a cover. Yes, let's go with that.
And so, and you've sent us some other images. You just want to talk through that as we go through them? And so this,
great. Yeah, that one's been up. Feel free to pop up another one. We can talk about.
Yeah. Let's go. And so you've got the image here. It looks like a very a landscape amongst a barren. Is that the ocean?
Yeah, it's the ocean. So this is actually the Pacific Northwest coast. Okay. One of the that has changed in this world is that the oceans are a lot more difficult to traverse. The seas are a lot rougher. So fishing in the Puget Sound in this world has become very important. And so this futuristic society has built ships that are much more able to withstand the rough seas. So again, like I mentioned earlier, the technology in this world is advanced, and at the same time, I want it to be recognizable as advanced from the point of view of Native Americans, and that the evolutionary tree that would come out of folks from North America rather than from a European technological background.
Yeah, and I like how the buildings are here built into the side to take advantage of, to protect against the elements. It's I really like how they've used that into like their modern design for this. I really like that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of technology like solar and wind power. There's hydroelectric. There's just a lot of technology that we're getting to now in the real world, but maybe would have gotten to by a different route by Native American culture.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's go to the next one. And so we've got this amazing art. I just love the colors on this.
Yeah, aren't they great? I love this art. This is done by Kyle Charles. In fact, all three of the pieces we've seen so far have been by Kyle Charles. Mm-hmm. And when I talked to Kyle about doing this piece, my drive on this piece was that I wanted to convey a deep sci-fi element, an element of advanced technology, and yet still a connection to Native folks, in that when they see this, they're going to recognize themselves in this. They're going to not necessarily from a specific tribe, but they're going to see markers and coding in here that speaks to them. And I think this piece does it really well. I love the makeup that the character has. The blue and the black eye paint is fantastic.
Yeah, I love the banding on the eye. It's very, it just evokes a lot. Yeah,
it's great stuff.
And then we'll go to the last piece here.
Sure. So this is one that I'm unveiling here for the first time. And if you're a comic fan, or you've got some folks who are watching our comic fans, this is art from Jeffrey Verege, who he works routinely for Marvel Comics. He did a comic called Red Wolf, and he has had some stuff in galleries in the Smithsonian. So anyway, he does some incredible combination of pop art mixed with tribal influences. So this is I asked him to do a character fighting a Wendigo. So this was his piece for that. And that's another aspect I haven't mentioned, is that besides being a sci-fi, this is a great opportunity for all of my writers and myself to bring in our mythology and lore, which is an important part of the game, but bring these mythological characters, creatures, spirits, ghosts into modern storytelling and adapt them in a way that is fresh and at the same time still considerate of tribal traditions.
Gotcha. That is just, I just can't get over that. That is just so cool.
Yeah. I really like that piece.
It like almost wants to remind you of like a cave drawing or something like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll bring that down and come back to us, so we'll just have more focus on this. So, where are you at in the development of this? I know you've been doing playtests. I know you've been working on the art, and you've been working on it for quite some while. So, where are you at the point in your development of this? Are you
Yeah.
nearing the end that you feel for your core product, or where do you stand on this?
And my hope is for a Kickstarter later this year, and a lot of that has more to do with outside of influences outside of me, and it has more to do with where we're at in the world and what's going on with Kickstarter. With everything surging right now, with COVID surging, and with everything going on, I've been hesitant to assign an actual date. But I am feeling I'm far enough along in the development. We had an amazing play test not too long back with all native players, which was a lot of fun. It was so fun to do with all native players and get a chance to have them play around in this world. So after that play test, I feel like the development's far enough along and the art is far enough along that we're ready to go to Kickstarter by the end of the year. The post Kickstarter stuff shouldn't take too long. I would say the core rules are probably 75% dialed in. So really, we're well on our way. I honestly, you said you wanted me on for quite a while, and I think part of that was that one of the challenges that I've faced that I don't think a lot of other developers have faced in their games is that trying to make sure that I have all the right native voices in place. Obviously, we're dealing with a smaller creative population than maybe the greater population at large of creatives. But then you talk about creatives who are available, affordable, interested in the project. All of those. You get a pretty small Venn diagram. So it's been a process making sure I have the right team and the right folks on board for it.
Yeah, I just feel that this was a game that needs to be. When I heard it, I thought, oh, that's a fantastic concept. And then when you started showing the assets and things of that nature, I was just like, this is going to be phenomenal when this comes out. I just think things like this need to be talked about. That's my opinion on it.
Absolutely.
And so when you said you had the rule set dialed in about 75%, which we didn't really get that much into. So when players sit down to play this, is this going to be more? Obviously, I'm thinking it's going to have a very heavy narrative influence on it. Is it more of like a social RPG, or will there be a heavy dice influence? Like, what do the mechanics of this game sort of look like?
So I'm a big fan. I go role playing way back. I go all the way back to basic D&D, and I think right around the time I hit Rifts from Palladium, I kind of burned out on crunchy, heavy RPGs with lots of tables and having to reference pages over and over. And what really turned the corner for me was the storytelling system. I was a big fan of Vampire and everything White Wolf put out. So that definitely influenced, I think, some of my game design. I would call my game sort of medium weight crunchy. My goal is to focus on a single dice, all 12-siders. My goal was to have the vast majority of information on a character sheet. I don't want my players to have to dive into the rule book a lot to reference their own characters and their abilities. And part of that is the fact that while I want to appeal to RPG audiences, and I absolutely believe that this game is an RPGer's game, I also want this to be attractive to non-RPG players who are native, who want to maybe dip their toe into RPGs for the first time. So there's a heavy storytelling element. In fact, one of the aspects of the game that I'm the most proud of is leveling up in this game is called Legends. And one of the things that RPGs have in common with a lot of North American native tribes is a strong tradition of storytelling. And so I built this idea of legends about characters. So as your character evolves, legends develop about them. And it's the responsibility of the player then to write the legend that caused them to sort of level up. So as your character progresses, you build this sort of mythology that would be maybe told by later generations around a campfire about your character. So the idea is that by the time you reach 5th or 6th level in this game, you've got a whole mythology building around your character about the amazing things they've done. So it is a very storytelling heavy game. with a lot of what's the best way to put it? A lot of I want to say soft mechanics, but definitely there's a lot of there's an effort to avoid a lot of charts. Let's put it that way. That's I think.
Gotcha.
I'm a big fan of the 12-sider, by the way. 12-siders are an underrated die. That's the hill I am planting my flag on. I love 12-siders. So
12-siders for the win. Gotcha.
Yeah, indeed.
Awesome. So Connor,
yeah,
let's say somebody either watches this live, that's watching us right now, or they're watching like the post video or something like this, and they want to find out more, or they actually even want to get in, or they may have interest in helping contribute in some way, with any sort of assets or mindset or something like that. How do they get in touch with you? How do they get in touch with the project? Where do you find out more about it?
So I'd say the first place to go would be coyoteandcrow.net, just all spelled out, coyoteandcrow.net. And that I have a development blog there. I have a sign up for email notifications for the Kickstarter and for other news. I've got a really transparent development journal that I put there just to kind of keep things out in the open for everybody. That includes listings for positions that I still have open, if anyone wants to help out, and ways to contact me directly. In addition, I'm on Twitter at Coyote in the letter N, Coyote and Crow RPG. You can find me there. I think those are probably the two best ways.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Connor, I want to thank you for coming on. I'm super excited for this project, and I hope all the best for you. And hopefully sooner than later, I'll actually get to see you face to face, and we can talk about it more. So
that would be amazing. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we have a question. Oh, yeah. Sorry. We had a question from chat. Eric sent it over. So what is your connection to the Native people that you work with?
Great question. So I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. I think we have 7 different tribes represented in our team right now, and none of them the same, oddly enough. And I didn't really plan it that way, but I love the fact that I think we have right now 8 different tribes represented, including my own, which is Cherokee.
Gotcha. So that's fantastic. So hopefully that answered that for the question. But once again, Connor Alexander talking about Coyote and Crow, which you can find online. And my name's Chad Roberts from RPG Geek, and this is we've been covering our coverage here of Gen Con Online 2020. Everybody have a great day.